In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to make this mixer cake.
So you probably don't recognise where I am. Some of you might do. I'm actually over at Dawn's at Dinkydoodles because I don't know how to make moving cakes and she's an expert. So she's going to be showing us how to make a mixer a little bit like this one using her kits. And I can't wait to learn from her.
Right. Hello everybody. How are we doing? Are we all good? So you came to me and said you needed a mixer, which was fine because we have a kit, which is brilliant. So that one is the closed mixer. I also do an open mixer, so with it tilted and then the paddle, as you'd kind of expect. But you wanted to make it move.
I did. I didn't want to pick something too easy for you because I know
well,
how good you are with these.
It is kind of easy peasy, but before you lot say to us, that bit of the mixer doesn't move, because I know that's what's coming. You specifically wanted the bowl to move.
I did want the bowl to move, yes.
Even though we know the bowl doesn't move. So we could have done the paddle going round, which is what would move, isn't it? But it's not very interesting for what you wanted, because you kind of want animals kind of hanging onto the bowl and...
Yeah, we're going to do something for Cake International, so I'm doing a showpiece, and part of it is lots of animals baking in the kitchen, and I wanted this mixer to be kind of going round, and then, like Dawn obviously pointed out, that the bowl doesn't move, the paddle does.
Yes.
But I didn't think you would see the paddle going around a lot.
You would. So when I get asked about moving cakes a lot, and I've already said this to Zoe once this morning, we've had a conversation about moving cakes. People ask for things a lot, and I go, yeah, I can do that, but why? Why? Why would you want to do that? So for starters, if we put movement in the top of the mixer, where's your cake? Your cake's gone. Yeah. And that, other than the bowl, so you've got loads of cake going on here and loads of cake in the bowl. So where is it kind of all going? If we did it moving in the bowl, closed in the bowl, one, you're not going to see it going round, and two, you know how to empty the bowl out as well as the top, so there's no cake in it. Yeah. Which yours doesn't matter if there's no cake in it because it's a display piece. Yeah,
yeah. So mine's for display.
To make stuff that is edible.
Yes. So we're gonna make this with cake, as if someone's gonna eat it, and I am gonna hope that it lasts until November for the cake show.
Otherwise, you'll see it in a different colour and you'll know that we've made it again, so it's fine. So, shall we show you what the kit kind of looks like? Yes. Okay, so ordinarily, the kit has a base, which does need gluing and securing stuff because we've got weight kind of going on up above, yeah? Okay, so all of my kits basically are laser cut from a wood that would be exactly the same as a lollipop stick, okay?
So it's food safe anyway.
It's food safe wood, but if you want to make it reusable, then we put the food safe oil on it. So the food safe oil is available from Amazon. We can give you links to that one. So that's what we're looking for, the food safe oil. So that makes it waterproof, which means that you can wipe it down.
Yes.
Because obviously when buttercream's stuck to it, ganache is stuck to it, that's the bit that's going to make it, you're not going to want to use it again. Okay? But the retail cost of these kits are so little that actually why would you bother? Yeah. So at $19.99 for a kit that assembles together in seconds, use it, charge it out, off it goes. Yep. Really, it's only for those people that kind of make family and friends that you think you want to use it again. So you then get two supports. The supports slot together. A lot of my kits are a lot like kind of build your own cupcake stand. That's the kind of principle that they work on.
Oh yeah, they are very much like the cupcake stands, aren't they?
Because it's a strong structure. Yeah. So that's going to slot into that gap just there, basically.
Just move it so you can see it on the above one.
There you go.
Oh, that's really easy to get in, isn't it?
Yeah. Dead easy. Yeah. So we are going to glue them together just to make sure, but most of my kits actually don't require any glue. They'll all, you know, stand alone as they are. But if we were putting this on a board, now we're not, are we? We're doing something a little bit special. If we were putting this on the board, we would glue it to the board. What's really important when you're using a cake board is that you've taken the silver paper off. Because actually the silver paper's not really stuck to the board very well at all. And all you'll have done is glued it to the silver paper, you'll put it in the car, you'll drive around the first corner, and it'll come off the silver paper. So we kind of take the silver paper off and glue it too. I use a wood glue rather than a hot glue. Hot glue is great for sticking stuff temporarily.
It just peel off easy.
It does peel off easy. So wood glue is what we'll do. We're then going to slot this together. It also has a little back to it in order that the cake doesn't slide off.
Over here a little bit more.
Or she can.
Oh, yeah, with it being at this angle.
Exactly
you
right.
need something at the bottom.
Yeah, so those bits kind of slot in together like so. Let's put that there, and there's another one goes the other side. Just kind of slot it in. So the cake is going to sit on. It is exactly like doing a jigsaw, exactly like it. These pieces here get glued. They've all got numbers on them. Look, so 1, 2, and 3. We don't need this bit. This is for the closed mixer. But where it's etched, you would then glue, and that's where your paddles and stuff.
Yes, so this one would have
Exactly. That's what
two
you'd have your
paddles.
two. Yeah, the 2 beaters.
Yeah, under there.
Yeah. So it's a more kind of 1970s mix. But the open one has a paddle. Now let me show you what the paddle usually looks like.
Dawn's made me a very special paddle.
So I do 2 paddles. So we do the plain paddle, which essentially just slots in through here, like so. And there's a little hole that you then get a barbecue skewer, and that locks that into place. Can you hold that there 2 seconds? So that literally just slots through there, and then that's
brilliant.
In place like so. So yeah, so I do a plain paddle.
Yep.
And then I do one that's got happy birthday written on it. There you go.
Oh, and then Dawn's made me an extra special one.
I have. Because it's you.
Wait till you see it.
Ta-da!
How cool is that? That's really nice, isn't it?
So we're going to get all of this glued together. We also, you want to put it on a splat, don't you? I was suggesting a chopping board, but you've gone, no, everything looks like it's being spilled or it's splattered.
Yeah, chopping board is nice, but yeah, we're going to go for a really messy kitchen theme.
Yeah.
The animals are making a mess, so I thought if we have it looking like icing, that's just kind of gone everywhere.
Yeah,
that's the whole
that's perfect.
theme, I think.
That's perfect.
That we're going for.
So we're going to cut ourselves that. We're going to also get this glued together, and then we'll look at where we put Rice Krispie treats, where we put the cake, how we put it together. And honestly, you're not going to believe how quickly this all comes together. You've set aside 2 days for filming. We need about an hour.
Dawn says that she's not seen how slow I work with things.
Richard did warn me. Richard's come with you mainly to make sure that you got here okay. And then he's left us, and he did wish me luck just before he left, because apparently I'm going to need it. But we'll make cakes at my pace, and then you'll see how quickly things go together. But essentially, that is how the mixer is going to work. And, we're going to make it move, aren't we?
We are going to make it move.
So let's take a look at how we're going to... Dawn's going to make it move. Dawn's going to make it. What would you do without a good mate like Dawn?
I know.
It works the other way around, because whilst I can make it move, I can't make figures.
You can't say the word in a video.
Can I not? Mine are ugly.
She can.
No, I really can't. I can using your moulds. So that's the bit that I kind of don't do. And you make stuff look really cute. I can't make cute. Nothing I make is cute. Everything I make is gruesome or ugly or real. I can make stuff look real. Yeah, I can't make it cute and cutesy and like gorgeous and no, I can't do that.
She's got some gorgeous looking stuff in here, I promise.
So, turntable. Essentially, we could have done the dead cheap version, which is a revolving turntable, probably from Amazon. But it's quite thick, so we would have had to have buried it within part of the bowl.
Yep.
So I have bespoke made you a little turntable. So this is a element from a Lazy Susan.
Oh, so is that what it's from?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so metal really from a Lazy Susan. Let me get one that's
so
got
clever.
so that you can kind of see.
So I've got some IKEA ones. If I pulled it apart, would it look like that?
No, you can buy them from Amazon.
Oh.
So you can buy these from Amazon. They are the workings of a Lazy Susan. Yeah.
Oh.
So 2 bits turn. There's holes on one side in one ring and holes on the outer ring. What you essentially need to do is lock one in place and allow the other to move.
So
that's how it works, yeah? So if we lock the middle one, look, the next one turns. But that only turns manually by hand. Doesn't turn by anything else. So because we have a laser cutter, what we've then done is created a cog system. So you've got teeth on one side, you've got cogs on the other. That needs stitching together, basically, to make sure that it's going to do what it needs to do, and then attach it to a motor. So when the motor turns, it turns the cog, that then works in the teeth. and that's what's making it turn by battery. Okay. I always, this is a cake feature, I always engineer everything with bits that come apart, because how do you feed stuff through a cake? You can't do it.
Yeah.
So you always need it to connect to somewhere. So we then make the length of the wire that we need it, and then we attach it to these little battery packs that turn on and off. So we can easily manage our cake from the outside, and your batteries then are on the outside. Any of this that's going to pass through a cake, it's not in this occasion, but if it was, we need to be looking at putting it through plastic dowels, drinking straws, whatever else, so that the wire isn't going inside the cake. When I do these kind of cakes as well, I always make sure that the customer gets really detailed instructions on cutting.
Yeah.
So they understand where the mechanics is, they understand where it needs to be cut and everything else. But yeah,
that's really important, guys, for cakes like this, that your customers do know exactly what's inside the cake, because you don't want them to cut through it.
So quite often I will take photographs, even structured cakes, I take photographs at partway through, and I then put them into a PDF and print them so that the customer knows what's going on inside it, so they can understand where to cut it, how to cut it, and how to get the best from it. But yeah, so this always needs to pass through a drinking straw or a dowel or whatever else. But by splitting this in half means that I can manage the batteries outside of the cake. Okay?
And guys, if you're like me and this kind of goes over your head a little bit, because my mind just does not work for things like this. I find it, like, I look and I think, oh yeah, that's simple, and then I think about it now. As soon as you leave me to it on my own, I can't work it out. Dawn,
you're on that
is it this one? Yeah. Dawn does do a lot of kits ready-made, so if anybody doesn't want to start building their own, like me, this is your lady to go to. And I'll put links below the video as well to Dawn's website, so that you can go on there and have a little look at all the different things like this. That
so yeah, there's loads of kits that I sell that are exactly, rather than you having to work it out, if you want to make a mixer, buy my mixer kit. If you want to make a train, buy the train kit. If you want to do a motorbike, buy the motorbike kit. The moving stuff I usually do, rather than just kits, is like paid classes and tutorials, again quite specific. It's not the kind of place that you'd come to for ready-to-go electrics, because nobody else does it. It's very, very bespoke. But what I do is an academy where I teach my members how to do that kind of stuff. And they often ask, they all get one-to-ones. So if they've got crazy cake ideas, Dawn, how do I make that happen? I then make it happen for them.
So like me and you today.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right.
Dawn's making it happen for me. What I'll do is, if you stay tuned to the end of the video, guys, I'll put some little video clips in of like examples of other fancy cakes that Dawn's done, so that you can be wowed by all the different things that they can do.
And by the time this one goes out, the cakes that are currently on the side in pieces of the mechanics over there, well, they'll be done, won't they? But we've got some pretty big projects going on the other side of the table, where there's hydraulics and all sorts of things kind of going on in cakes. So yeah,
stuff way too complicated for me.
It makes my head hurt sometimes too. So let's turn this on so that you can kind of see what's going on. What you need to do then basically is keep the motor still. So we need to drill a hole in the board so it's going through to the base. That's going to hold that motor still, and then that allows that to turn. We've also got a little battery pack. We'll probably put this one on, and that's got a little switcher that allows it to change direction. So loads of people would try and make a carousel that goes round and then realise the horses are going backwards, for instance. So that allows the horses to go in the right direction. So the principle of it is simple. What people struggle with is it's getting things laser cut.
Yeah.
So it's having the ability to bespoke make things like this precise, and that's where people get stumped. Yeah. So that's where you need to get in touch with me and take one of my amazing classes. So whilst we're getting all of this ready, I can turn that off now. So it's moving into. Whilst we get all of this ready, so we've got some gluing to do. Nobody's eaten this cake, so we don't need to coat it. We don't need to use it again. So when
usually you would food safe it does.
Yeah, so just make sure that you put the oil on it and stuff. We're not going to bother. No one's eating it. We can't even tell you when the cake may be fit for purpose, because, it doesn't matter, does it? Doesn't matter. We'll get all of that ready, and then we'll come back when we're actually assembling it. Got something to show you, and we can go from there. So we'll see you in a bit.
So for the base, I wanted to create a shape that was a splat effect. I've drawn it on paper first. I could have really just drawn this straight
onto a piece of board really, because it meant cutting it out of the paper and then drawing around the board. Yeah, I should have just drawn straight on the board. But the whole scene's like dogs and cats making a mess in the kitchen, so there's going to be icing kind of splattered all over the whole feature. So I did want to make sure that this mixer fit in, keep in with that. So you can have a different shape base on yours. You don't have to have it the same as what I'm doing here. And of course, when it's drawn on the wood, we need to then cut that out and sand down the edges as well, making sure there's no sharp bits or any splinters.
So I was just going to put a hole in here because we need to get the space for the motor to go. So if I give that a drill, what am I doing? This one's cake. Honestly. Should we use the real one?
So we're going to drill a hole, a space for the motor to go, and we've had to add some legs underneath. I'm also going to spray the paddle as well, and we're going to need to stick all that together.
So that should feel sturdy enough, shouldn't it?
Just spread it for you.
Yeah. Don't worry about it going over the holes, if you know what I mean. Other than this hole.
Okay, so not in that hole.
But over this is fine because we're going to put glue in it anyway. But just get a bit around this side. That's it.
So we need to get in that bit as well.
Because it's the bits that's keying together basically, which is why it's okay that it went over the lines. What we don't want is it everywhere. So the bit that the cake is at the top, isn't it, and the bowl. So it's well away from this, but you could actually fill the slots, the stand with cake. We're going to use Rice Krispie treats or cake pop mix. Yeah. It doesn't matter. If you could pass me the supports. If you take a look at it, that slots into that.
So do you usually put it together and then put it in?
Yes, basically.
I'll let you do it.
So just making sure that it's in all places. You can pull it back towards you. I've changed cameras.
Just that one, isn't it? It's not going to. Why is that not going to fit before?
There it is.
There we go.
There it is. Let's make sure that the base is in line with that hole. And that's it. Then, using your cotton bud, I like to wipe off the excess.
So that's what they come in handy for?
Yeah. Because you can make sure that things like this that aren't then gonna...
Yeah.
It doesn't particularly matter on this bit. You would then, if you've got glue anywhere like that, you then put the sealant on over the top.
Yeah.
Which we don't need, do we? Just then kind of make sure it is, you know, everywhere. Mm-hmm. Okay? Then the back. So you only need to put it on the little bits, the joints. The bits that have contact with the wood rather than the bits that go through the wood. Yeah. And a lot of the kits don't even need glue at all. It's like the car kits and those kind of things. It's only that gravity is... Oh, to the way around. Gravity is playing a part on this one. So we need to really make sure that, you know, it's doing its job. So what holds that down is the weight of the cake.
Of course, yeah.
So that stops it from kind of going anywhere. So, having now got that in place, that done silver, obviously it can dry wherever it is. That's just going to go straight through. And then it is literally a matter of putting, it's a piece of barbecue skewer, thank you, whilst everything else is dry. That's it. Done. And that'll stay put. Like just now wants to dry, you see.
So while the glue is setting everything together, I'm going to ice a bowl. Now you can make the bowl completely in cake. I have chosen to just use polystyrene because, like I say, this one's only for the cake show. It's going to keep it nice and lightweight for me for this. I want to fill it with what looks like either like cookie mix or something and maybe put some mice in.
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so we're now ready to kind of add the cake to it. What we ought to probably do is, I haven't got cling film here, I'll get some in a minute.
Doing Rice Krispie or cake first?
We're doing Rice Krispie treats first, but I want to cover this with cling film so that we don't kind of get anything in it. So we want to make sure that your Rice Krispie treats are going to stick. So as I'd said before, this, if you wanted to, you could make it with cake pop mix, you could make it with Rice Krispie treats, but you could even actually make it with cake. Mm-hmm. If I was making it with cake and filling it, what I'd do is make a little 4-inch square cake, and then I would cut it into triangle sandwiches.
Yeah.
And then
Put
you
it
literally just slot it in.
Yeah.
We were discussing yesterday, weren't we, what shape it's going to be. Now, the one in the top corner on that screen there is very sharp, straight and angled, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Which you could go with, and if you were going to do that,
I quite like it sharp and angled.
it's up to you.
Oh,
If we do it sharp and angled, what we're going to do is just fill it.
Yep.
And then you're going to use a knife. The knife cut to, look, can you see how easy it then is to get
follow the lines?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then ganache it up, and then we can cover it, and that's fine.
Yep.
The ones that you were originally showing me, which much more curved, much more, shapely, weren't they? Which you're just going to fill that and then curve that and shape that as you want it. So there's real kind of design freedom. It doesn't have to look, in a certain way. But the first thing you do is just put ganache just on this surface, either side. Try not to go all the way over the board because it doesn't need it. We're going to cover this neatly in a bit. But get that done and then your Rice Krispie treats would stick. We've gone purposefully, we've left the ganache to kind of cooling, so it's gone nice and thick, so it really does coat it. If you go with something too runny, it's just going to drop back off the wood again, and then it doesn't really kind of stick.
And I often overheat it and find it's too oily for me to
work with. Too oily to kind of work with.
Yeah.
And don't forget, we didn't coat ours with the food safe oil, but you would have done, and that would allow you to reuse it.
Yeah.
Well, it's more about the fact of you wanting to reuse it, because once we've put ganache and everything else off, it's not going to come off.
Yeah.
And we can't dip this in the sink. So we can't put it in a sink full of hot soapy water because wood expands and then the kit won't work again.
Yeah.
And obviously it's very absorbent. So whilst we want it to absorb at this stage, we wouldn't want to reuse it having it absorbed previous cake.
Yeah.
So it needs to be waterproof or one use only. So have you decided now, big question, what shape are we going?
I feel like I need to consult my phone for ideas.
Okay, so why don't we start putting some Rice Krispie treats on it so that people can see what we're doing, and then we can bring them back in when you've finally decided on shape and see where we're headed. Because I have a feeling that we might be some time. That's looking great. So we'll get some more Rice Krispie treats made.
Yeah.
You'll consult your phone.
Yeah.
Decide where we're going with it all.
Yep.
And then come back when we've got a nicer shape to show them.
So
But it's kind of going together now.
It is, isn't it? I was considering doing the whole thing in Rice Krispies with it going to the cake show.
Yeah.
But I feel like for the video we need to put cake on it, don't we? So that people
I
can
think
see.
so that you can see
what
how many
you would do
layers,
if you
what it
added
would kind of
cake.
do with it, and how easy it is to carve. Yeah, so adding cake to the top, you've got a couple of options. You could cut blocks of cake and stack it this way.
Yep.
Yeah, if you wanted to. I find it far easier to cut a piece the same size as
this way.
and goes that way.
Yeah.
I cut from great big slabs from Sweet Success. So I would have cut my cakes on this with the template before I even assembled it.
Yeah.
So I got the pieces the right size. But what I've tried to do when designing stuff is also think about how many layers you'd need and what can you get in your oven. So as an example, if this was it's just over 11 inches long.
Yep.
And then it's, I think it's about 4 inches wide. So therefore, if you created a 12-inch cake and you needed 3 layers, you could cut your 12-inch cake into 3 rectangles and then add it onto the top. So I've tried to think about the bakers at home. So we're gonna layer it up that way. So again, it needs a little bit of ganache on the back.
Yep.
On that. So I'm going to go and get a ruler and I'm going to get cake. So let me just double check my measurements because I have so many kits. Remembering what each of them measures. So it is 11 inches, I was right, by just under 4 inches. So it's actually 3.5 inches. So if we cut 4 inches wide, then that's a bit bigger. And if we did 11 and a half. So the only question is whether you want 3 layers or 2 layers. We'll only be able to get 2 layers out of this because you've taken a slab. So when you see
that's from my last cake.
When you see this, guys, before it gets ganached and it's randomly got 1 piece of vanilla cake on it and 2 layers of chocolate, you know why.
Because Dawn's doing it all for me. It's because Dawn knows that if she does it, it's way quicker than if I do it.
So, this happens to everybody a lot. Lots of things like this kind of happen, is that cakes break
Yeah.
I don't want people to panic about it. It's what happens. But what I would do is just make sure that you're using a broken cake on the bottom layer.
Yeah.
So that the top layer would kind of then, you know, hold everything in place. But it doesn't matter if pieces go together in bits. So let's say, for an example, that we did use this bit, but we've got another bit somewhere else to use. I'd knit that together in the middle layer.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it on the top layer where you need to kind of carve it, but knit it together in the middle, no problem at all. So on your plonk, don't forget we've got to push through, that's it.
Yeah.
So you're pushing
Should
down on
I
it.
trim?
No, don't
No,
worry
just
about it.
push
Just
it
push it and see what happens. And you'll be absolutely fine. It'll just push either side of it and it'll either stay or it'll come off.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter.
Okay. There
Okay.
we go. We're on.
Perfect. So the things that you've got to consider if you're making it is you want to make sure that the cake is all supported.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't want to go 3 layers if the 3rd layer is going to take you beyond this.
Ah, yes. So
Yeah.
I think the 3rd layer is going to go beyond.
So I
it would
think we'll
slide
only
off,
need
wouldn't it?
2 layers. Yeah.
And today I'm just going to put a thin layer of ganache on
To
between,
stick it, yeah.
so they stick, because
Yeah.
we're going to take it to the cake show, and that's not for a few
No.
months' time.
No.
Whereas normally you would use like a nice layer of buttercream in there. Yeah.
So if you'd made particularly deep cakes, or you found you did want 3 layers,
Yeah.
what I would do before we did this is I would be putting a piece of foam core or cake card
To extend it.
to make it taller.
Yeah.
Go with inside the structure, then it will be the structure
Yeah.
and it will just support it. Likewise, if you wanted to go really bigger here, either side of this,
Yeah.
just put a piece of cake card that's bigger.
Yeah.
As long as it goes inside the structure's still doing its job, but you've changed the shape. So dead easy to adapt for your own needs. So that's going on there. Next one's going on the top. We won't need the 3rd, and then we can look at what shape you actually kind of want to carve it with.
Yeah. Maybe I could put a tiny bit for curve on the top.
Absolutely.
Put lots of ganache on to hold it on, maybe.
It's your,
We'll
well, once
see.
it's in the middle, it's not really doing anything. The other thing
Yeah.
that we could do with it is just pop a barbecue skewer
Yeah.
through it to kind of keep it in place. It's starting to look like a mix,
This is
isn't
a
it?
mixer, isn't it? I was going to yours is quite a bit taller, but yours is upright,
So
isn't it?
when it's upright, you can afford to put 4 layers on
Yeah.
it. You can do what you like with it. But if you want to put
That's what
3
I was
layers
thinking
on it,
was,
yeah,
we could try and put that there.
yeah, that's fine.
Try. Like, I probably wouldn't do this if it was buttercream. It would
No.
slide, like Dawn says, something here. And then I'll carve that maybe to be a bit more rounded, maybe.
No, I think that's great. But just for security, for it going nowhere, we're going to put a couple of barbecue skewers through
Yeah.
it, and it won't go anywhere.
Let's carve it now. See if the shape I'm going to do works or not. I've got a little bit missing there, but I'll have to fill it with ganache, and I think that'll be alright.
So just carving it to the shape I want. I'm trying to get it nice and rounded for this one. I want it to look quite retro.
So I'll cover it in ganache, cover it in a thick layer first, and then I'll smooth it down.
Using a flexible smoother to try and get a curved shape to the top of the mixer.
So I'll give it a really rough one at first, and then I'll give it a second layer once it's started to firm up. I'll just shape it a bit more with ganache.
I think it's a really lovely shape.
Yeah,
I think it's great, yeah. It's very retro.
it's retro, isn't it?
I'm just carving down the Rice Krispie treats so that they're nice and smooth, and then once I've done that I can go over this part of the mixer in ganache as well.
Dawn's teaching me a new trick. She is going over the ganache with some hot water and a smoother, which I don't usually bother doing.
So yeah, still using the acetate smoothers. Water and ganache don't mix, so we're not really going for water, we're going for heat. Basically, so
I've done it with like a metal one.
Yes.
And I've heated that in water.
Yeah.
But that's always been on like a round.
On a street,
a round cake.
yeah,
Rather than a shaped one.
I just find it much easier. So we compromised, didn't we? You spotted what I was up to, and we agreed it needs to be bigger. But we've
But I
gone
wanted this bit flat.
straight on this bit, and then we've left the curve on the other bit. So loads of people, when they use, I know you didn't know this because you use an acetate smoother properly, but loads of people, I always think, use it like a lettuce leaf, and they just kind of wipe it. It's not doing anything. So yeah, 4 fingers on the front, thumb on the back. But because your ganache is starting to harden, the hot boiling water is just allowing it to get smoother quicker, basically. So it's just taking up less time.
If someone wants to do it for me, I let them. My favourite bit is putting the icing on. The ganaching bit is never my favourite.
Is it not? Ganaching is my favourite bit. I could spend
it?
days ganaching something. Yeah. So for me, I spend all of my time on what I call the workings out underneath.
Yeah. I mean, I think that does take longer.
It
carving and the ganaching, that's what you want to spend a lot of time on getting right, but it's not the bit I enjoy.
Is it not?
No.
Well, then I'll just hand all my cakes to you to cover, and I'll carve and ganache everything. Yeah, I think that's looking good now.
It just looks nice.
Okay, so I need to get the cake home from Dawn. So she showed me a trick where you put balloons in with cakes to stop them moving. Make sure, guys, that no one's allergic to anything like latex or whatever the balloons are made from if you are going to do this.
Okay, let's make sure I don't cut through this. Added a bit of extra fondant down here just to bulk it out a little bit. Although I think I'm going to just trim a little bit off here, just a little bit, just to straighten up those edges. And then I'll go over it afterwards with the final colour. I'm going to be using the Saracino pasta top. And a really big thank you to Saracino because they have actually sent me all the paste I need for the Cake International piece that I'm doing, which will be on display at Cake International, so keep an eye out for it there, guys. Let's see if this fits. I have no idea if it's gonna or not. My plan was to do the whole thing in one piece, but I think we'll try 2 pieces, maybe even more, I'm not sure yet, let's see. So let's get it on this bit here at the bottom. I'm hoping to get it on here, around the sides. It's quite soft, so I don't know how many fingerprints I'm getting in this. Okay, let's see if we can pinch it together there just for a minute. I think I'm gonna have to cut some spare off here because it's just gonna want to sag. Okay, so about there is okay. Let's try and get down there. Okay, so I'm just cutting it down the back. Sorry guys, you can't see this very well. I'm gonna overlap it at the back if I can. Oh, it's tearing a little bit. I think it's just that I've rolled such a big piece. I want to try and make sure we get out the air bubbles because at the moment I've got lots of air in there. Let's see if we can cut through this and neaten it up a bit. Oops. I have to be so careful not to break that. Okay, I haven't got it directly down the middle. Oh, I've missed a bit there. Hopefully we can just blend it together. Fingers crossed. We'll see. Maybe we can, maybe we can't. We'll see. Let's just try adding a tiny little piece into there, like so. I wish I'd asked Dawn if I could buy some of her smoothers. Although they are very similar to this, but those were a range of shapes, which might have helped me a bit more with this. So I'm just rubbing it together firmly to try and get rid of the seam. It does seem to be working a little bit, or at least further up it maybe isn't going to down here. I don't want to press too hard around this bit. Okay, let's cut some of this extra off. I'll trim around here a bit near as well. Not got this as smooth as I want, so I've just put some fondant in some cling film, and we're just going to rub that onto there to help smooth it a little bit. I think I learned this in a Carla Puig class. Now, apologies, Carla, I always say her surname wrong. I actually pronounce it Pudge, but I'm pretty sure that's not how you pronounce it, so try with something different. But this should help us smooth it out a little bit. Okay, so have a quick check that I've cut this not too close to the edge and it still works. Covered it in corn flour, but let's hope for the best.
So I've pressed in a little circle and I'm just going to put a bit of brown fondant on there as well. We'll paint that up gold in a bit. I'm going to try and ice under here in a really thin layer so it sticks. It wants to kind of come away. I've had to stick this on with pipe and gel. I didn't get this bit overly neat. But we're going to add a little bit that's going to kind of go around the top of the whisk bit or paddle. Just make sure it's got a cut in it so we can slide it around easily.
Starting to match my drawers in the background. Can you see them? I've made them. I maybe do another video, guys, showing you how I made this like little turquoise turquoise drawers in the background, which is covered in all kinds of rubbish.
So we're going to add that on there. Hopefully that'll tidy that up. I'll just press it down a little bit. And then I want to use some molds to just add a bit of decoration so that it kind of matches with a larger cake that I did on the feature. I've tried to go for like a yellowy colour so that it's similar to the gold that I'll paint over it with. And I'm going to stick it to the bottom of that bowl we made. I painted the gold as well. So that's the gold edible lustres, and I actually mixed them with some glaze so that the powder wouldn't come off on my hands. To put some dog paw prints on because the whole feature is going to be animal themed. I've also roped my mum into helping me, so she actually helped me paint on some of the gold while I was working on some of the other pieces. Because the whole house was a mess, I had a huge amount of different creatures going on at this point. I also made some solid icing cookies. Like I say, these were only for display, so rather than baking them, I made them out of icing so they would keep a long time. This one, the bite marks taken out with a cookie cutter. I didn't bite it or anything. And then, of course, I made some mice to go with it. And there's part of the making of my hamster. Can you tell it's a hamster? I'm not sure if you can or not. But guys, let me know if you want a separate video making for showing how to make the mice, because I know this video is very long, so I couldn't get it all in here. So would you like a different video showing how I made the mice? And maybe some of the other creatures. I did film some other bits of the larger bits and pieces from the CI piece that I made. I don't want to call it a CI piece, it's a feature. I guess they call it a feature when we get it there. But yeah, so I wanted to put a mouse on the top, so I just made a bit of a body. So these creatures now are all made in the Saracino modelling paste. You can see my house is a complete tip in the background. I've just got stuff everywhere from the feature. But let's put that mouse together. And the stuff in the bowl is actually royal icing that I've sat the mouse in. And I made some little chocolate chip chunks, again, just out of modelling paste, so they're not actually pieces of chocolate. And we're just going to pop that in there, like so. While the royal icing is still wet, I can hopefully push that in, and it will stay in place, I hope. It will all set nice and hard shortly. Checking the mixer still goes round. Let's add the motif things. Do you call them motifs? The fancy decorations. A little bit in way like you would have the little switch on your mixer. That's just on a cocktail stick pushed into that cake. And I've just coloured some fondant. Again, I'm just using the Saracino fondant, just a cream colour to put like cookie dough around the base. And then just small finishing touches. Again, this really, I guess this bit doesn't go with the mixer, but it was part of the piece that will all go on here. It was just a case of adding finishing touches to everything. But the motifs on everything I kind of wanted to match together. And then I made a lot of bigger creatures as well, some rabbits, some dogs. Like I said, I'll try and put together another video of all these extra bits and pieces.
There it is, guys, all finished, the mixer cake. A huge thank you to Dawn from Dinkydoodle Cakes for showing me how to create this on one of her kits. Don't forget to go check out Dawn as well, it works brilliant. Obviously you could do real cake instead of the polystyrene bowl if you wanted. I'm going to take this now to Cake International. I'll get some video clips of it there for you guys to see. Oh, let me know if you want to see a video on how to make the mice. I could do that for you guys if you want as well. Thank you for watching. I hope you've learned something from this. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this one. See you next time.
And here's a little look at it at the cake show over at Cake International. And we were over on the Saracino stand with this. And a huge thank you to everyone that came along to see it. We really did appreciate everyone's support with this.